Okay, let's look at adding content to Canvas. And I saved this for last because I think the most important thing for us to think about is, and maybe one of the more complicated things to consider, is how students will demonstrate their learning. So how are they going to provide evidence to us that they've met the learning outcomes? And that might look different in an online environment compared to, in the classroom. So we want to really be thinking about alternatives that we might want to set up when things suddenly aren't going to work exactly the way we expected. But in terms of content, we might just, we already have our textbook and our resources that we've provided to students, but something that we might want to consider doing is organizing content into modules. And so I'm going to show you what those look like, and we're going to create a module with relevant content and activities. But we also might want to think about creating new content instead of just pivoting to Zoom. So we maybe want to keep meeting in Zoom, keep having office hours in Zoom, depending on what your course is like. But you might also consider creating some new content for students. And so I want to make sure you're armed with the knowledge of how to do that. Because as many of us learned last time when we switched to remote learning during the early days of the pandemic, a lot of our students might have connectivity issues. They might miss a lot if we're doing very important things during our Zoom sessions, and we might want to think about making things available asynchronously to our students in Canvas. That might include content that you write and they read, or content that you create, like maybe a mini video lecture or something like that. And we're going to look at those things during this video. But before I start showing you the nuts and bolts of how to set up modules in your course, why don't we take a quick look at a course where I already have these set up. And I'm going to put this in student view so we can see what it looks like from their perspective. What this does is it organizes your content and your activities into a very intuitive and easy to use design. So I like to do it by week. I think this is extremely student friendly, and it will set you up for success for if we have a sudden move to remote learning, because if you kind of wrap your head around, what we do in the class each week, what resources they'll need, what they're going to be turning in, and you start putting this structure into place, you can simply publish it to turn it on when the need arises, versus if you just start adding a bunch of content, files, videos to your course without thinking about this structure. Kind of like, how do you know where to direct students to go? How do students know what to do in your course? So this gives students a clear path, and it organizes everything in a way that makes it very clear and easy to know what to look at, what to turn in, all of those very important things. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at how to build modules and how to organize course content and activities into those modules. So I'm going to click New Module from the top right of the Modules page in Canvas, and then I'll just give it a name and click Add Module, and I can simply just create all the modules I need for the semester right now, or I can start chipping away at 1 week at a time. And so the best way to think about this is that once you have a module in place, this is kind of like a place to keep content and activities in an organized way so that students know when, where, and how to access the different course components that you've added to your course. And so I can add anything I've already created here. So as you recall, I already built all of my assignments for this course. So these are ready to add to a module. Or I can create new content and activity from the plus button at the top of the module. So let's say that before I start adding my assignments to this week 1, I want to add an introductory page, and I want to add like a video lecture. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click plus. And when you click plus from the module, you get a list. You can choose from assignments, quizzes, files, pages, discussions. You can add text headers or these external URLs or tools, and you can create new ones. So anything you've already created, so let's go to quizzes. You'll see all the quizzes I already created are here and ready for me to add this to my module. Or I can create something new. So let's say I want to create that introduction page. I'm just going to click page and then create page, and then it's going to ask me to give it a name. and then I will click Add Item. And now this is a shell of a page. Just like when we set up our assignments, we kind of created those shells for all the assignments we need. Then we went back in and filled in the details. When you create something new from here, it just creates the shell of it. So there's nothing here. We'll have to go in and edit to add the content that we want here. And then I'll go down and click Save and Publish. And now let's go back to modules. You can see it says no content not visible to students. Although I published this page, because I haven't published this module yet, students wouldn't actually be able to see this page. So you have to publish your module before students can see anything within it. So now if I refresh my page, you know, it's now visible to students. If I go to Student View, I can see that that page is there. So as I mentioned, I also want to add a lecture to week 1. So I'm going to go ahead and click plus, and I'm going to create another page for that lecture. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to call this week 1 lecture. So as we're adding things to our modules, we want to make sure that we're giving them really meaningful names so that students know what they're going to be accessing when they click that. So I'm going to go ahead and edit that page so I can add my video lecture. And you know, you could just do this as text. You could write something that you want your students to read, and you know, add maybe some relevant images or something to help demonstrate the content. Or you could just, let's say you normally lecture for, you know, during your classes, you know, you could move those to Zoom, or you could create these asynchronous you know, videos that students can watch on their own time when it will work well for them. They can watch it and re-watch it. It's a really student-friendly way. They'll still be seeing you, hearing you, all of those really important things, you know, to keep everyone connected in the course, but they'll be able to do it on their own time. So you can always create a video lecture by using Studio, and it's available right here in Canvas. So if you click this Apps button, you'll see the option for Studio. And I'm going to go ahead and click that, and you'll see there's a 3-dot menu on the right here where you can tell Studio what you want to record. So do you want to record a screen capture, a webcam capture? If you select screen capture, you will be able to add your webcam. So let's see, I have an example here of one where I did that in an example video. So I'm recording a slide here, and I also included my video. And this is actually a pretty easy to use tool. It's very intuitive. I just don't want to go too deep into this here in this video, because I don't want anyone to get overwhelmed if they don't intend to create these video lectures. But I do want you to know that that option is available there. There's already a lot of great resources out there about using Studio, and your ITC or ITS can help if you're interested in going that route. So let's go back to modules. And so now I'm building out my module. I have my overview and introduction page. I have my lecture. Let's say that I have a quiz, and I have an assignment that I also want students to complete this week. And so if you recall in my other example, I have these great text headers, which just adds even more information and more structure to your modules. So I'm going to show you how to add those real quick. When you click plus, and then you can find the word text header here from this drop down, and you can just add any text header you want there. So I'm going to go ahead and do content. And when you add things to modules, you'll see you get these little handlebars here, so you can kind of move things into place. So I want to make it clear that, you know, this is my introduction, this is my content that I want students to consume, and then as I have here, I have it listed as assignments, so these, you know, students know these are activities that they need to complete this week. So I'm going to add another text header there for assignments. And then I'm going to add those 2 items to my module. So if you recall, these are things that I already created when I set up the bones of my course, my assignment and my grading over here on the assignments page. So if I go to modules, I can just click this add button, and then under assignment, here's all the assignments that I set up. Say this is the assignment that I want to include for students this week. So I'm going to add it there, and then I'm going to also add my quiz. So I'm going to pick quiz from the drop down, and you know, I already added these quiz, so these are available for me to add here. And now I'm just going to publish those labels, and my module should be ready for students, and I'm just going to verify that by going to Student View. And then let's say that you have content that, you know, students use throughout the semester. It's not necessarily tied to one week in particular. Sometimes people kind of just keep adding that stuff to each module as students need it. But you can also just create a module called like course content or readings or something like that. Then add that module. You can kind of drag it up to the top, and then students will always have easy access to all of those resources. Finally, I'm just going to talk about two last things which are both related to how students experience your course. And the first one is customizing your course navigation. So if we go to Student View, we can see like this is what my students will see when they come to my course. But let's say, you know, I'm creating modules. I don't really want them going to pages, clicking around to files and all these things to access all of my course content, because I've already made it really intuitive for them by using modules. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Settings, and then I'm going to click the Navigation tab at the top, and this is where we can customize this. So let's say, you know, like the things I know I want my students to be able to access really quick and easily are announcements, Zoom, assignments, maybe grades, syllabus, maybe all the way up at the top there. And I'm not necessarily I don't want them going to quizzes necessarily to access their quizzes. They might go to assignments or they might go to the modules. But when we have so much going on up here, it can be a little bit overwhelming for students. So let's say I'm not using any of this stuff. Students don't see all of this by default, but like I don't want them going to files. I'm putting my files, I'm linking them, you know, where appropriate in modules. I can just, I'm not using chat, all of these things. I want them to use modules, you know, frequently. So I might put that there. I'm going to move pages down. I can just customize this to be exactly how I want students to see it. So now when we go to Student View, I have this simplified course navigation. These are the things that I want students to be able to access in the course, and this is kind of like the order in which I think they'll need them most. And lastly, course homepage, also related to, you know, the student's experience of your course. Course homepage is what students see when they get to your course. So if you recall, when I was showing you how to set up your syllabus, I did set the syllabus as the course homepage. And then also in the communication video, I showed you how to add recent announcements to appear at the top of your course homepage. Now, this isn't necessarily the most welcoming thing for students to see when they get to my course. If you're not using Canvas for a lot of things, this can work really well. You know, you have your announcements, you have your syllabus, you want students to go here and access these things easily. It's all well and good to choose this as your course homepage, but I think it's a really great and student-friendly practice to set up a home page of your design. And so let's take a look at the options from the Choose Homepage button on the course homepage. You can do the activity stream, the modules. So if you set up your modules, you want students to go right there to be able to easily access that content and those activities. That's fine too. But there's also this Pages front page option. And what this is you create a page of your choosing. You can add anything you want to this page, design it in a way that kind of welcomes students to the course, gives them any information you want them to know, and maybe gives them some direction about how to use your Canvas course. So before we can choose that option, as you can see, it's grayed out. We have to actually create that page. So I'm going to go to Pages in the course, and then I'm going to click New Page, and I'm going to design this page. As I've been saying, you know, video after video, this is just a content editor. You can add anything you want here. I'm going to call it Course Homepage. And then I'm going to start thinking about what I want to put here. And I already wrote some content. And so you can see like I've kind of just set this up as almost like a welcome letter to my course. Students, if you publish your course before the first day of semester, this would be their first impression of you and the course. You can make this look really beautiful by adding graphics. You can use Studio to record a video, maybe a little tour of your Canvas course, or a little presentation that shows like maybe some pictures of you with what you're interested in, kind of introduce students to you and kind of curate their first impression of you. I think that's a super great use of tools like Studio and Canvas, because we can't control what happens in the classroom, but we can control this. We can make this look and read and feel however we want it to. And, we can do it when we're at our best, not at the mercy of whatever else is going on in the world around us. So you can see I kind of just, I welcome them. I tell them what Canvas is and how we're going to use it. I instruct them that they can go to modules for content, activities, and assignments. I tell them that they can get, access the syllabus over here. I tell them about my office hours. And also I tell them about my Q&A discussion, and I can also link things here. So anything that's in my course, I can also link here. I'm going to go to course links and just choose that discussion. And now that's linked there. And then I might also add a picture of myself, especially if students are going to see this before they see me, or if I'm teaching a fully online course. I actually think this is a great thing to do because it welcomes students to your course, as I said. So I'm going to go ahead and add a picture of me. And I'm going to pick one, like I have all these pictures of me available. I'm going to pick one where I'm like smiling and looking friendly. And it's huge. So I don't necessarily want them to see that huge picture of my face, so I can make it like a more manageable size there. And then I'm going to save and publish. And now when I go to this three-dot menu, you can see I have this option, use as front page. I'm going to click that. And then when I go home, you'll see it's still a syllabus, even though I just said use as home page. There is one more step, and that is to go back to this choose home page button. Now that is no longer grayed out. It is an option to me. I can select that one, click save, and now this is what students will see when they come to my course. Let's go to student view. And again, this is super simple. This took me just a few minutes to conceptualize and put together, and I think sometimes we see example courses where, it looks like a graphic designer put it together, or someone who knows HTML. It's really completely unnecessary. You can do something very simple like this that's effective and welcoming and very student friendly. It just kind of goes over, my expectations for how we're going to use Canvas, tells them some important information, and just welcomes them to the course. And I always like to say when it comes to things like this, you do you. So this is me. This is how I would say it. This is my picture that I would choose because I think it's welcoming for students. But maybe you teach business and you have a very, you want to set a very formal tone in your course. This will look different for you than it would for me or for anyone else. I think it's just, I would rather see you spend a few minutes to set up something simple like this than not do anything at all, because I think it's such a nice touch and only takes a few minutes to put together. And then finally, I always like to show this because I get this question all the time, is another one of those little touches. How do I add a picture to my course card? So, it's just like a visual way to welcome students to your course and set the tone in your course. And it's super simple to do. You just go to settings and then course details. You just click this course image button and you can add a course image of your choosing. So in conclusion, I hope this was a helpful series for everyone as they're considering how they might prepare for a pivot, if they should prepare, what they can do now, all of those things. But if those questions haven't been answered for you fully, you can always feel free to reach out to me. And we have lots of supporting resources at its.uncg.edu. You can find our knowledge base. And let's say, you did all of your work in like your sandbox course, and now you need to copy some stuff over to your live course, you can come here and just search, like, is there an article about copying in Canvas? And here we go. So there's this article that shows you how you would go about doing that. So this is a great place to start, as well as the Canvas guides, which have everything set up by like questions. So let's say, you're working with assignments. It's all set up. How do I add an assignment group? How do I weight the final grade? All of these things that you might be interested in doing. Canvas has set up these guides. How do I delete an assignment? And it always includes screenshots, and this will all be really up to date and current. But again, you can always feel free to reach out. And the best way to reach me is via SixTech. You can always feel free to submit a ticket, and you can mention me by name, and that will get routed to me quickly. And, if you feel like there's something that I should have covered here that I didn't and you really want it to be addressed, I'm happy to add more videos to this series as needed. Or if you have, questions specific to your course and your situation, how to make things happen, the best way to set something up for remote learning, I'm always happy to help with that. And I know that your school's ITCs are as well.